Welcome, Madison.
Hi, Karen.
This is the Karen Mitches podcast. Thanks for coming on.
Oh my God, I'm so happy to be here.
How's your week been going?
Oh man, it's been stressful. Yeah, I'm wallpapering a sliding door in my bedroom right now.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You're wallpapering a sliding
Yeah,
door.
so I have a really small bedroom that kind of leads into the living space, and I think they decided, oh, we're gonna make it like an open concept thing, and then when instead of having a door, it's just a big sliding door that's translucent, so it lets light through.
Oh.
So I think it's to like try to make the bedroom seem less claustrophobic by like kind of opening it up.
Yeah.
But then it just keeps me up at night, and even in the morning, like it lets so much light into my bedroom, and especially bothers my girlfriend. So I was gonna get like a new door that blocked the light out. But then I have this wallpaper that my sister gave to me, so I decided just to wallpaper the door.
The translucent door.
Yeah, so it's basically like a window. It's like the door to my bedroom is basically a window, and I don't want a window. I want a door. I want the light to be blocked. I want it to be opaque.
Yeah.
So I have this. So I decided to wallpaper a glass door in my apartment. And it's very difficult.
Like, I'm assuming it's not easy to find a video online that's like how to wallpaper on glass.
No, there isn't. Because it's ridiculous. And I didn't use. I was so unsure of myself because if I used glue, that would have been kind of permanent. So I used double-sided tape, which is insane to use double-sided tape to wallpaper anything.
Is that what people are doing though when renters wallpaper? Is that a thing, or did you just make this up entirely?
You use glue. You don't use double-sided tape, and I actually use a lot of double-sided tape. And I choose I use a lot of double, and the cheap stuff doesn't work. I learned that the hard way. You got to have high-quality double-sided tape. I stole a lot of double-sided tape.
You stole tape.
I stole it. I stole 4 rolls of double-sided tape to wallpaper my translucent door in my bedroom. And yeah, that was the last few days. That was very stressful because you have to cut it, to get it right. It's just very difficult and this is not my forte. I'm not good at.
So is it done, or are you still going on
I
this?
just basically finished it now, and it's pretty good.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
Yeah. And
that sounds awful. I hate stuff. I hate that. I won't even hang a shelf anymore. I've just given up.
Oh yeah, I have framed pictures on my wall, and I used like doubles. I used double-sided tape for everything. And one time, I learned how to like do it properly, but I was living in a different apartment, and I had all of these like posters and like pictures on the wall with double-sided tape, and I had like these panels on the wall, and I used double-sided tape, and 2 days after I put it up, all of it fell down at once, and it was the most terrifying thing because I was like I was just like sleeping, and all I hear was like, and I'm like, there's someone out there, and I hear, and all of it fell. Yeah.
I like that you're just like employing the double-sided tape for everything.
Everything. It's just it's just my go-to. It's super easy. It's very, it's very not the way you're supposed to do it. Remember the Red Green show when you use duct tape for everything? That's how I feel like. I'm like double-sided tape.
Yeah. I remember people used to make wallets out of duct tape, inspired by the Red Green show.
Yeah.
And that was a great time in our lives.
Yeah, those are the good old days. So there was that. There was the wallpapering, the translucent door in my apartment to make it opaque. And I also had a cold. I think I had COVID.
This week?
Yeah, I think it was COVID. I don't know why. I just got a feeling.
What makes you feel like it was COVID?
It was basically just a cold, but I don't know. I just decided.
You just decided. Cool.
Yeah. So I had a cold, and that made me very depressed, because it just made me like I couldn't do anything. I couldn't go out really. I was just at work, very miserable. And then I went to my therapist and I was like, I had a bad week because I was, I had a cold. And he was like, the cold is your body's way of making you go within to face your own demons. And he started talking about Beowulf, the old English poem. And I have to like slay the he's about 100 years old. He's so old. He always takes a dump before our sessions, so the place always smells like poo. And I was sick in our session. He sent me home and he's like, go learn about Beowulf. I was like, okay. Because I have to go on this journey when I'm sick to
Like, okay, I remember I read that in school. And is it about the Green Knight? Is that what he wrote? Or is Beowulf the story?
Beowulf is a story. It's like the oldest thing in known English literature. It's like 600 years old. It's an epic poem. And it's basically about a guy who like slays some evil demon that's like bothering the kingdom. And then he kills the demon's mother, who's even like scarier. And then he becomes the king. And then 20 years later, after being the king, he has to slay a dragon. That's all. It's just Lord of the Rings is based off of it. It's just old. It's an old English.
I realize now I read Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, and I've not read Beowulf.
I'm just realizing I didn't do what my therapist told me. I didn't actually read Beowulf. I just listened to what he said.
Which was you were supposed to slay a dragon and the dragon's mom.
Yeah, I think he just was mean. I think he was just trying to say like I need to go like slay the demons of my mind. Which there are, but then he didn't tell me how. My therapist is he's not good.
He's trying.
I shouldn't say. We have to cut that because I don't want him to watch this. He's a great therapist.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Literally cut it, or can we just include the part where you retracted it?
I don't know. Just I don't think my therapist my therapist is about 94 years old, so I don't think he. In fact, let's leave this in because whenever I tell him about how upset I am about people saying mean things about me, he's always like, you need to learn to accept this. So you need to learn to accept this, doc. You fucking suck.
One of the demons in my mind is like all the technology around my podcast. So like, I want to edit less.
It's decked out. I don't think I've ever done a podcast. This is really nicely decked out.
Thank you.
Yeah. It looks great. I walked in and I was like, oh. I was expecting us to just be, I don't know what I was expecting, but it's nice. It's a nice situation. I got the lights and you got everything. It's great. So you get your demons. You're haunted by this.
It really stresses me out.
Yeah.
Like, because I've had the sound cut out and I've had the visual cut out.
Yeah.
Like if you watch Justin Bishop when he was on my show, you can actually only watch him for a few minutes.
Right. Okay, I didn't see that.
So there's a lot of, it's like surprisingly sensitive, like the things that can go wrong, and there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
Including this table will just flip over because it's too light to have all this stuff on it.
That'd be a cool signature of your podcast. Like every episode, at some point, it flips over, and it's like, it happened, the big table flip.
I am saving all the fails to do like a.
Yeah.
Please don't knock it over.
Yeah.
On purpose. They're very expensive.
No, I know. Did you buy this for the podcast?
Yes.
Okay.
The equipment, yeah. And no one told. I thought it was really easy because it seemed like everybody was doing it, and the hard part was being like interesting and getting people to watch it, which is also it's very hard to get people to watch it.
Yeah.
But no one just said the equipment was going to be really, really hard.
Yeah, I think the 2-person thing would be hard. I could do one. I could get a mic and record it and film myself. It's the 2-person thing that's seems daunting.
You did one, right?
Oh no. Oh well, I did like a very dumb podcast in the pandemic. Yeah.
Okay, but I really liked it.
Oh, you did.
And then I was talking to someone because they were saying a 1-person podcast would be really hard. I'm like, Madison killed it, and then he watched it and he loved it. So
oh really? Oh,
you have like 2 serious fans.
Yes. So I mean, with that, I just made them short, and I kind of like thought them through. So it was like me, like it was more of like a thought through short kind of story, basically.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, maybe I'll keep doing it now. I'm truly, I run on compliments.
Amazing.
I need to be complimented in order to do something. You know how like, and I'm working on this. Like people are like, you have to like believe in yourself. It's like I need others to believe in me. And I never will change. I cannot. If you tell me I suck, I will believe it until someone else tells me otherwise.
So you have to immediately take any criticism to like another person who will refute it and compliment you?
Sure, but then it's a nightmare for everyone in my life because everyone in my life has to hear about every time someone put me down. I have to go on and on about it. I'm like, why would they say that? What does that mean? And they'll be like, it's nothing. And then I'll go to my therapist. They'll be like, it's nothing. And I'll be like, I don't know. Even my sometimes I think I'll go to my therapist thinking he's gonna be like, at one point be like, that's not okay that they said that, or that's not okay that they did that. And every time he's like, you're gonna have to get over this. Because sometimes I'll be like, can you believe this person did this to me? And he'll be like, yeah, man, like just let it go. That's all he ever says. He's just like, just let it go, man. This is nothing. Yeah.
That's hard. But I kind of do get, because his thing isn't to make you feel good. Like,
no, clearly
it's to
not.
teach you how to.
I don't know what his thing is. I don't know what his thing is. He pauses a lot. Like, he never asks me a question.
That's very frustrating. I've had that.
So he'll just sit there and we'll sit in silence. It's like a game of chicken. We'll stare at each other. And I'll wait for him to ask a question. He just won't until I just have to start rambling about something. It's kind of like a podcast. This is better than therapy, to be honest. I wish my therapist was more like this.
You want to do this with your therapist?
Yeah, I want him to talk to me. I want to have a conversation.
Have you ever had any like breakthrough?
Yeah. Sure. I don't know. Yeah, I have. Yeah. But that's between me and him.
So there's something going on there that's deeper than him.
I've been told I'm better.
Pissing you off.
I've been told by people in my life they'd like me to stay in therapy. They think it's helping.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Can I know why you got into therapy?
Oh, I got into therapy. Well, I know it's surprising because I'm so perfect. I don't know. Why does anyone get into therapy? I got into therapy because I'm a very sensitive guy, and I need to talk through things with people. That's all.
Nice.
Yeah. Are you in therapy?
I've been in therapy a lot. I won it, basically. Like, I defeated the final boss, and I'm out now.
You slayed the dragons?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I guess, like, I had some big breakthroughs, and now I feel good.
Yeah.
Although sometimes it's like the stuff I did in therapy, I, like, pick it back up. Like, basically, most of my problems are around anxiety. So, like, I'm always kind of like, oh, I need to like expose myself more to like heights or like, you know, like I'll start to backslide on something and then I'm like, oh, fuck, I should work on this. And then I think sometime if I backslide enough, I might have to go back to an actual person. But I like things in group as well.
Oh, you do group therapy?
Yes. So I did structured psychotherapy, which is group, but it's not like the group isn't sharing. It's basically a classroom, which it's easy to get into because it's cheaper, and that was why I ended up with it. But it ended up being better because when you do therapy, for me, I always felt like I think I would like fight with my therapist a lot, and I would think, I don't know, it's like if you wanted to learn French, and I was like, well, why don't you already know French, Madison?
Right.
Whereas like if it's just like, okay, everyone, we're learning vocabulary today, and like do this homework, it's completely depersonalized. And like, I don't know, I think there's also certain things I would say to my therapist, like, oh, like my anxiety doesn't have any physical symptoms, so then we would always skip over like the part of CBT or cognitive and behavioral therapy that deals with that. But in the structured format, you just start inducing symptoms of fear. Like you spin around in a circle till you're dizzy, and then you see if that freaks you out. So that's how I found out that a lot of my anxiety is like, I'm very sensitive to nausea, and like low levels of it will like trigger me to start panicking.
Yeah.
So like it informed a lot of like symptoms of vertigo that could be really light. Like I'm just near tall shelves and I would start feeling anxious, but I wouldn't know why I was anxious. I'd be like, am I insane?
Right.
And then I would like spiral with that. So then the structured psychotherapy helped me just like realize what the physical symptoms were, and then I could just like get used to them and focus on that more.
That's really cool. I get really anxious when I watch what do you call it, like reality TV competitions.
Like The Amazing Race.
Have you seen this show called Blown Away? It's
No,
on Netflix.
I haven't even heard of it.
It's called Blown Away. It is a glass blowing competition, and it's people just making. They have like 5 hours to make a piece of art out of glass.
Yeah.
And they're just constantly dropping and it's smashing, and that's maybe one of the most stressful. And I'll scream because you'll be watching it and they edit away where I don't know where they just because they're blowing it and then it falls and you're like, no. Or I'm usually just calling them all idiots. I'm like, they're stupid, even though I have no idea what they're even doing. Yeah.
That actually sounds pretty fun.
Yeah.
But does it make you actually anxious? Or are you just into the drama of it? Like, is it a fun watch?
It's fun. It's dumb. It's really dumb TV. It's very dumb. Yeah. Yeah.
What are your favorite shows?
Oh, wow. I started trying to watch this show called Owning Manhattan.
Is it a real estate show?
It's a real estate show because I was like, oh, I want to see these like Manhattan apartments because I think really nice apartments in Manhattan are cool to like just look at online and stuff. Like I like architecture videos and stuff. So I thought the show was going to be more about that, where you're just seeing these really cool units.
Yeah.
And it kind of opens like that. Like the show opens like, look at they open the show with the most amazing like penthouse Central Park 3-story condo that's for sale for like $250 million. So you're like, this is and it's like
that is the price.
It's so decked out and they're like trying to sell it and you're like, oh, this is a cool show. And like that's the first episode, but then the rest of the show is mostly just about these like real estate agents getting into and I don't care about them. It's a really bad show. I don't think I got to the third episode. I'm like, I don't care about these people. They're just and they're all just they're just bad. It's bad. I would make fun of them more, but it would be so offensive. And I don't really want to be offensive.
I think I find a lot of reality TV like frustrating.
Yeah, it's trash. It's bad.
Like I want them to just like accomplish their goals and like also be funnier.
Yes.
Which is why I watch scripted TV. But I feel like people get mad at me because they think I'm being snobby. And it's just like, do you want to go to a restaurant where you have to make the food, or do you want to go to a restaurant where somebody who's really good at cooking made the food for you?
Yeah. I think I want to be at a restaurant where they make the food, if you're asking me. Yeah. I like the show The Bear. Have you seen The Bear?
Oh my God, it's so good.
It's great. Yeah.
Everyone on it is just stellar.
Yeah.
I've only watched the first 2 seasons.
Yeah, the 3rd season just came out, so I have to get Disney Plus again.
Yeah.
I got Disney Plus specifically for The Bear. I really wish you could just buy series individually and not have to stream these stupid services.
Annoying because I'm always like, I think there's something else on Disney Plus. Like I just got rid of it, and then I found out there's a 3rd season of The Bear, and then I found out some show called Shogun that people say is like Game of Thrones, and I'm like, oh. But then once I got rid of it, I got Crave, so I could watch House of the Dragon.
Right.
So now, I can never watch all the shows that are on because I'm always rotating.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I feel kind of I subscribe to YouTube. I don't have a lot of, I think I have a Netflix account and a YouTube account. I don't have anything else. I don't have Disney Plus. I don't have Paramount Plus. I don't even think I have Prime. But I pay for, because I watch YouTube constantly.
Yeah.
Like all the time.
So that just takes the ads off.
Yeah, it just takes the ads off. And when you watch YouTube a lot, like when you watch it like 10 hours a day, they start torturing you with it. Like they ramp it up. They're like, we're going to make this impossible because we know you're addicted to this. They make it impossible.
So I guess you watch shows though on YouTube. Like I feel
it's
like
a lot of like, it's like, we're going to talk about this building in Paris. And then you just like learn about a building. And I'm like, I want to learn about this building. I want to learn about this train station that's a museum now. There's just, or like we're gonna talk about just this person. I don't know. It's a lot of like news and little mini documentaries. I'm learning about Napoleon right now.
Nice.
And the Battle of Austerlitz.
Okay, did you watch the movie about him?
Yeah, so I watched the movie and I thought it was pretty good. I thought the battle scenes were really cool. And then the other day I was watching the battle scenes from the movie on YouTube, and all the comments were like, "This is historically inaccurate," which is stupid because the real battle was much more interesting. Like every comment was like, the real battle was much more interesting. So then I want to learn about the real battle, and I was like, "Oh, it is true." Like, you know that scene when
Okay, so the real battle is called Austerlitz.
Austerlitz, yeah.
Austerlitz.
Austerlitz, yeah.
Austerlitz.
The Battle of Austerlitz.
Austerlitz.
Yeah. Sure.
And that's the place.
Yeah, so it was a pivotal battle. It was one of Napoleon's greatest victories. There's a big arc in not the Arc de Triomphe, but the other one. There's another arc that's like for his victory in Austerlitz. It was because I think it was against the Austrians and the Russians had allied together, and they're like, we're gonna fucking put a stop to Napoleon because he's starting to take everything over, and he crushed it. He destroyed it, and it was like, that was like a big moment where people were like, oh man, like this guy's, that's not like, he just showed everyone like, don't mess with me. And people were like, we won't for a sec. But you know, in the movie, that's what they said. They were like, we won't for a sec, and then they did mess with him. Austerlitz was like his big victory, and then Waterloo was his big defeat, and that was like the end of Napoleon after he
what was his mistake at Waterloo? Just pissing off enough people that everyone came after him?
Yeah, I think it was like way late in his career. He was outnumbered. To be honest, I have no idea. He just lost.
But when people say like, this is like,
I don't really know, because they're like,
because
they're like, Napoleon's military genius, and then you watch the videos and it's like, he decided to march them from the left flank instead of the right. I was like, I don't know. I feel like it's just a numbers game. Like I've been learning about him, and I don't really understand why he was a military genius. He just was, apparently. But in the movie, how it makes it look like he made the whole army run into the lake, and then he made the lake. Have you seen Napoleon?
I saw it, and I literally don't remember the battles now.
Yeah, I don't really either. I sort
of remember seeing like Marie Antoinette with like her hair short, and then is there like an insinuation? No, it's not Marie. What's his wife's name? Josephine.
Josephine. He's obsessed with Josephine, and Josephine is like screwing him over and like banging all these young soldiers while he's gone.
Also, like the implication that she survived prison by sleeping with a lot of people.
Probably. The whole thing is like he falls in love with this woman and then he goes off to like Egypt, and he's like kicking ass in Egypt, and then like one of his like colonels comes up. He's like, oh, I actually heard something. He's like, tell me. He's like, I heard your wife is sleeping around. He's like, oh, and he leaves Egypt to go like yell at his wife. And everyone's like, you can't leave. He's like, I heard that she's sleeping around. Everyone's like mad at the guy who told him. He's like, why'd you tell him that? And he's like so upset. And he like gets on a boat, and it takes like a half a year to get back to France. So he goes back to France, And then he just like walks in. He's like, "What's going on? I hear her sleeping with her guys." And she's just like, "Well, what are you gonna do about it?" And he's like, "Stop it! You can't do this." And she's like, "What are you gonna do?" And he's like, "Nothing." And then she can't get pregnant. Now that I think about it, I love this movie. Then he can't get pregnant, and there's just so many scenes where he's banging her really hard, and she can't get pregnant, and he's so upset. And there's just scenes where like there's just this hot young soldier like leaving, and all of the maids are like, "Oh, we know what's going on there." And she's just like, yeah, she's just destroying his soul. Yeah, I don't know about that's all I remember is just him just screaming at her to stop cheating on him. And I think she's just like, yeah, we'll see. And then she just keeps doing it. And he's so in love with her that he's like, I could have you killed.
I'm trying to remember, like, why was she with him? Like, did she like him and lost interest, or she was just always with him because she needed help?
I think he was Napoleon, so he was the man, but like he was like, it would be like, you know, it would be like Elon Musk being like, I want to date you. It's like, do you like Elon Musk? Like, no, but it's like, damn, he's a billionaire, you know?
Yeah.
I think you'd be like, oh, I was like...
She was Grimes, right?
Yeah, she was Grimes. No, I assume that she kind of got with him for the money and the sort of status, but she clearly wanted to... She must have been one of those women that has that, like, that allure, you know, that she knows how to use her sexuality. And she used on him, but then she liked to use on other guys too, I guess, you know.
It must be weird, though, if somebody really powerful decides they like you.
Right.
Like...
Yeah, like if Hillary Clinton was like, I want you, I would be like, I'm not attracted to Hillary Clinton, but the power is undeniable. You know what I mean?
Like, you think you could get into it?
I would have if Hillary Clinton walked in right now and be like, I want to bang, I'd be like, I feel like how could I say no to that power, you know?
Like, and you think that would help you get into it, or just like, well, you think
I just have a hard time saying no. If she'd be like, we're doing this, I'd be like, okay, like, I would definitely be like, yeah, I would definitely be turned on by the power.
Okay, are there any famous women where you're actually hot for them and you think it primarily comes from their powerfulness?
You know who I think is pretty hot is the Deputy Prime Minister, Christian Freeland.
That's so weird, because when you said Hillary Clinton, I was like, what if it was Christian Freeland?
I think she's a cutie. I really think she's a cutie. And at one point I was like, her and Trudeau must be. I think they must flirt a lot.
Oh,
I think she's a cutie.
I never thought of the two of them.
Yeah.
But he did just get divorced.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was trying to think of, like, why would you divorce someone who is in the middle of being the prime minister? Like, even if I hated him, I'd be like, well, I don't want to.
I feel like she's like, well, this doesn't seem to be ending. I think she was like, well, we'll break up once it's over. But he's like, he seems to never want to quit.
He's never going to be out of office.
I don't think he will. I think he's going to figure out how to win. I think he's never going away.
Do you think he's having a relationship with Christia?
Is he? I don't know. Should he? Yeah. If I was Justin Trudeau, I would be madly in love. I would be madly in love with her. I like her intelligence. I like her kind of sass and her power. But the thing is that actually no. If I was Justin, I wouldn't, because he's more powerful than her. I would want to be like a low...
You would want her to be the prime minister and
me to be like a low level and like a new... Here's my like big sexual fantasy, okay? Me, Madison, I run for the Liberal Party and I win. And that's my first year in Parliament. I'm like a junior member. I don't know anything. And she takes me under... She's like, I see a lot of potential in you. She takes me under her wing. She's like, I'd like to meet with you tonight. And we go to her office and she really is teaching me. She does believe in me. You know, it's not just sexual. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm learning so much. And she's like, I can teach you so much about politics. And she goes, I can teach you so much about life. And then she goes, I can teach you so much about love. And me and Christia Freeland, we make love in the office. And then And then right when we're done, we put on our clothes, and Justin Trudeau comes in, and he's like, oh, I just divorced my wife, and she's just like, oh, and I was like, and thinking that they're gonna hook up, but she's actually into me.
Oh, okay. So that's like another level where you're getting the girl, even though the more powerful man wants her to.
Yeah, exactly. I want to be with a woman who's more powerful than me, and I want and she's teaching me the ways of power. And then the more powerful men are like, I don't get it, you should be with me. And I was like, well, you don't have the charm. That's what I mean. I want her to look across from me from the House of Parliament and be like, there's just something about him, you know? And yeah, no, I do have I do have a big crush on her.
That's amazing.
And that's politics aside. Can I say I don't know anything about politics?
I kind of had that feeling about you.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's not
when people are mad, I'm like, I follow like elections because I find them interesting, but I don't. Yeah.
Okay, so when you say like what's interesting, because I think I find I know a lot about politics, but I hate elections. They're so upsetting for me.
Oh, it's the only part I like, because I like the competition aspect, and I like seeing people like debate, because I think it's so fascinating to watch people just like, it's such a high pressure thing, and it's so easy to sound like an idiot, and it's so easy to just come off as unlikable, and it's just really cool to see people like on the spot have to answer questions about like just all this stuff. And it is like, it's kind of like the ultimate reality series, especially US elections, because they have to do these primaries, there's like these different rounds, and there's these debates. So I just find it like interesting from a kind of a reality TV perspective. Like, I love the Trump era.
Yeah.
Especially when he was getting elected, because it was just it was just fascinating to watch this like this reality drama happen in real life.
Because there is an aspect of politics that is theater. And I used to like completely not respect that, but now I do. Because I think theaters want to like, it's like anyway, you need to tie people together through like a shared story. So you have to like present it to people. Otherwise, how would we all be on the same page? Yeah,
100%. And if I were to run for politics, I think my coalition would be old people. I would get the old people vote. I know I would charm them.
Yeah.
Like across all socioeconomic, cultural.
It's like the tough on crime, but the also like people against the carceral justice system. They were all coming together just to be I like how charming this guy is.
Cute. Maybe it's because the only old people I know are my parents and my grandparents, and they love me, and I know how to charm them. So I would just do to them what I would just do to the public what I do to them. I'd be like, hey.
It's interesting because it's like Trump's theater is sort of like grievance, right? Like he hates the things that you hate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he lists them, and he's like,
yeah,
like, roar, and like people are like, yeah, fuck this.
Yeah.
But you would be like charming people.
Yeah, I wouldn't talk about what I hate. I would talk about what I love.
I like it.
I'd be like, Joe Biden, he's always like eating ice cream. I'd be that. I'd just be like, oh, I love vanilla ice cream, you know?
What do you think thematically, like, you could like for Canadians, like, what would be your go-to images? Like, you're just eating ice cream in different towns.
I'd be eating food. That would be my thing. If I was a politician, I would be just going to towns eating the food. Like
Anthony Bourdain, but you're a politician. So you're showing up at the local cafe.
I'd be like, I love this little town's fudge. It's delicious. Because I do. That's kind of a thing of mine. I like going to little towns and trying the fudge. Trying the local fudge.
Why the fudge?
Fudge is so interesting because it's so simple, and I love fudge because fudge can go either way. You know, fudge can be this disgusting, just sugary, bland mess, or it can be delicious. And it's just, I don't know, I just love fudge.
So are you seriously like you'll come back from a town and be like, oh my gosh, I'll never forget St. Catherine's?
I was recently in London and I had some of the worst fudge of London, Ontario.
That's where I'm from.
I had the worst fudge. I had the worst fudge of my life. And I fucking, if you're ever in London at that little marketplace they have downtown, the fudge place there, tell them to go fuck them. So I tell them they're con artists. They're scoundrels, okay? Here's what they do. I go in, and normally, to me, I think if you're going to sell fudge, give a little sample, okay? Give a little sample. And I go, there's this really colorful one. It's cotton candy flavor. And I go, how is it? And I think, I'm in a small town. I'm in London. Well, it's not a small town, but it's very local. They seem very personable. They're going to give me their, like, honest opinion. I go, how's the cotton candy? They go, it's great. It's really good. It's got some texture to it, too. So I go, okay, well, can I get a sample? They go, you can't sample it. I go, okay. And then I go, I guess I'll, like, how much is it? They go, $6. I go, okay. I think it's going to be this big because in Toronto, if you get fudge, it's a little square for $6. But I don't know why there. I think they're just trying to get rid of it. They give me the biggest block. For $6, they give me this big block of cotton candy. I was going to get a few different fudges, and I'm like, well, this is my fudge. This is all the fudge I need. And cotton candy fudge, it was just disgusting. Because cotton candy isn't a flavor. Cotton candy is just sugar that's been electrocuted.
Yeah.
And so it was just sugar-flavored fudge. It was disgusting, and I ate the whole thing. Because I can't not.
So they gave you too much.
I ate it, and I felt like terrible.
You didn't like the flavor, so you ate all of it.
I ate all the fudge. And I was just looking back, I was like, screw them. They should have just been like, no, this isn't great. You should get the butterscotch.
We made a huge mistake.
Yeah.
You should always get the butterscotch.
Yeah.
It's not, they don't have that flavor everywhere, but if they have it in anything, you should get it.
That's what I would do. I would go to if I was to run for office, I would go to, I would eat their fudge, and then if it was bad, I would be like, this fudge is shit. And they'd be like, thank you, like, we've been saying that.
Do you think, like, actors and politicians are, like, basically the same people? Like it's the same personality type?
Well, you know,
close?
Reagan was an actor.
And, like, the head of Ukraine is an actor.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Reagan was an actor. So is Justin Trudeau was, like, a drama teacher. Mm-hmm. Reagan was an actor for, like, most of his life, and then he just got into politics, and he was great at it. And they asked him once, they're like...
Was he?
Well, yes, he became president. He was very successful. He was great. Reagan was great at the performative aspect of it. He was great. I mean, he was... I mean, you might not agree with his politics or whatever, but he did a very, he was a very skilled.
He did a good job at playing the president.
He was a very skilled, he was a very skilled politician. He got 2 terms. He was very effective at pushing his ideology. The Reagan
really
era
was fire. Right?
Oh yeah, he was very effective, but and he was very good at messaging, but he was asked once, they were like, do you think being an actor has been a hindrance on your political career? Like, do you ever wish you were an actor? Like, do you feel like it's been a stain on your, like, it's made it harder?
Yeah, because people trash talk you.
And he was straight up like, I don't know how I could have ever been a politician if I wasn't an actor. He was like, I don't know. He literally was like, I don't know how people get into politics without being trained as actors first. Because he was basically saying, like, this is all acting. He was like, my life as an actor, it trained me to be a politician. It's the same with Trump. Trump was a reality star for so long. He was on The Apprentice. Yeah. When you watch The Apprentice, you see him learning how to, like, do it. Because he's on The Apprentice, and he's like, he just, when he's on The Apprentice, he's just in the boardroom. He's just yelling at people, telling them why they're wrong, and, like, being this authority figure. And it's like, you watch The Apprentice, and you're like, oh, this is how he learned how to be so dominant on a stage in front of a camera, like in these debates and stuff. It's like, because he had The Apprentice to do it.
Yeah, I guess I've started thinking like Trump was an actor, but like for a long time he was famous, but he wasn't really on anything. He was like in the tabloids, and then The Apprentice was when he really started like performing.
Yeah, and his whole thing has been more about branding himself as a successful businessman than actually being a good businessman. Like real business people don't respect him as a businessman.
Yeah.
It is all performative. Even with even his business, he mostly is into trademarking. So he doesn't actually building so much as he sells his brand to other people. Other people build the buildings and own them, and they just pay him money for his brand. So he is a bulk of what he does have. He does do some business things, but a bulk of even his business career was more performative and being the image of a rich man.
Yeah.
He's what, yeah, and so he is. I kind of think he's more of an actor than anything else, and he's good at it. I think he's really talented.
And you enjoy watching him.
I'm bored of him now. Like I'm like kind of over it, but when he started running, I found it fat. Just from watching him dominate the way he does and have the confidence he did and not back down, and I just found it. I don't agree with him at all, but I found it fascinating to watch. Yeah.
Yeah. Someone was saying a while back, like it was going to be fun the next election, he'd be back, and I didn't find it fun the first time, and I didn't watch it. But I am kind of over it too. Like, I find
it's boring.
It's just upsetting than I used to. Like, it's just kind of like.
Yeah, that's why it's less. Because part of it was like, maybe this is shitty of me, but it was almost fun to watch how upset it made. Not fun, but it was interesting to watch how upset it made people. And now people are just like, can you believe? Because it used to be like every week, you'd be like, can you believe what he said? And you could talk about it. Yeah. Now it's like he'll say the craziest thing, and people are just like, I don't care anymore. I'm so desensitized to it.
Like when you walk down the street and you see a homeless guy, you're not like, oh my god, I can't believe someone would act like that in public. Because you see homeless. Well, now I see homeless people every day.
I live next to a homeless shelter, and I tried hanging out with them recently, and they didn't accept me. I live next to it. They have the best time, especially in the summer. In the summer. I swear to God, in the summer, they hang out. It's this place called Sanctuary. It's right next to my building. And they're always out front. They got like, in the winter they start these illegal fires and they like camp out. And in the summer, they're just like playing music, smoking their meth, like they're all friends with each other. They got, you see little romantic relationships, and like they're constantly screaming at people. Like there's always one that's screaming at people. But they got their own little, like, it's almost like a block party of all these homeless people. And like the other day it was just nice out, and I wanted to hang out on my block, and like they were there, and I kind of started hanging out in front of there was a bench, and I kind of sat down in front of it where they all hang out, and I was like, oh, they won't mind. But straight up, within like a minute, they started looking at me, and one of the guys was just like, can I help you? And I was like, no. He goes, why are you here? And I'm like, I'm just hanging out. And he's just like, you're not one of us.
Oh.
And I got mad at him.
Did you say something?
Yeah, I was like, fuck you. I was like, fuck you. And then I walked away because I was scared.
Yeah.
And also I was just like, all right. I think they could recognize that I was like, sort of, I think they thought, I wasn't really watching them. I was more just I was just, literally I just wanted to just chill. And I was like, well, this is my street. I'm allowed to hang out just like there. This is a public area. It's literally just out in the street, and they're like, yeah.
Do you think it's like if you go to hang out at like a kid's park, but you don't have any kids, then people are like, oh. Yeah, oh, you're not supposed to do that. Because I was going to say I do that all the time too.
Yeah. Kind of. Yeah, it's kind of like, it's like, it is like going to a kid's park without having a kid. Yeah.
Like you have to be in the scene.
Yeah.
Like you have to have that essential.
It is a scene, like, because I was like, oh, because they all know each other, so they weren't just like, I thought they'd just kind of be like, oh, just another guy, but they all know each other, so they were straight up just like, it wasn't like, I wonder who this guy is. It was like, who are you? But yeah, they didn't accept me. It was hurtful. Well, it was also just like, I just feel like, I feel like I'm often not accepted into groups, and I was like, I can get into this group.
So okay, but this surprises me. Like you seem like someone who, like, you seem social and like you would have a lot of friends.
Yeah.
But you find it hard to be accepted in a group?
I have friends. No, I do have lots of friends. I just meant like no one likes to be rejected, and so it's like, oh, you set the bar low, and then you're like, oh, and I know I can get into this group, and it's like you can't. Yeah.
So then and that pissed you off.
Yeah, it was just like, it didn't piss me off. I was genuinely offended and hurt because I thought they'd be more like, oh, who's this? Hey man, like you hanging out? Like what are you up to? Maybe they'd like offer me some meth, which I would have tried. I would have, if they offered me meth, I would have done it for sure.
Do you have big plans this summer?
Yeah, I'm going to Paris.
What?
Yeah.
Have you been before?
When I was a little kid.
And now this is your first time as an adult?
Yeah, I'm really excited.
Is this going with your girlfriend?
I'm going with my girlfriend, and we're going with there's gonna be a few of our friends there too. It's actually my friend and his wife is going, and then they're like, you should come, because they really like us.
So it's like a couple's trip.
A little bit, but then we have another friend coming too, so it's kind of like a friend's trip a little bit. Yeah.
Crew
yeah.
In...
Kind of, but we're all gonna be doing our own thing. But yeah, I'm thrilled.
Yeah, that's an amazing trip. Mm-hmm. Are you gonna hit anywhere else in France?
No, just Paris.
One of my coworkers said she took her son to France. He's 15, and she wanted to get him interested in history. So she took him to like the World War I sites, the World War II sites, and then the Loire Valley, which is where there's all these like castles and like tons of French history. Mm-hmm. But she said like the standout was the World War I sites. She said it kills everything. Yes,
I've heard that.
Because nobody's really like more into World War I than World War II that I know.
You're saying more people are into World War II?
Yeah, like I feel like a lot of people are buffs of that war.
Yeah, World War II, because there was so much more to buff about. You know what I mean? World War II, there's so much to go buffing around with. Because World War I was just like basically just trench warfare. Like it was basically just this disgusting war of attrition in a field in Belgium. Right? Like it was just
having wet boots.
It was just, and it was
for 4 years.
It was horrifying, but it was like the most horrifying thing. But it was just this one. It was basically just like millions of 19-year-olds just drowning in mud and getting gassed in these trenches, which is horrifying, and just never moving. It was 4 years of them just like sending literally children, teenage boys, and dying. Whereas World War II, you had all kinds of things, right? You had the Japanese doing all their crazy stuff. You had Hitler. You had all these characters, these great characters. You had Churchill. You had Hitler. You had Mussolini. You had FDR. You had the A-bomb. You know, it ended with the A-bomb. Yeah. You know what I mean? You had all these kind of interesting stories going on. You had D-Day. You had
they headed into Russia,
Blitzkrieg, battle. You know, London. I mean, it went to London. They were bombing London. They were doing night raids in London. It was you had just so much. Also, visually, we had, you know, like color film by the end of it, so you could watch
the Nazi symbol, the Nazi costume. Who's the famous designer?
Hugo Boss.
Hugo Boss.
I said that too fast. You're like, who designed that? Is it Hugo Boss?
He's a fan.
Yeah, and it was definitely they looked, you know, they had very nicely designed outfits.
Even when you think like you've learned everything you could about World War II, I feel like something else comes up. Like my sister and her husband were in Papua New Guinea, and they have like all this like World War II fighting that happened there and remnants of it, and they toured an underground hospital. Yeah, like it's just everywhere you go, there's more World War II you didn't even know about.
Yeah, the whole thing with the World War is that anywhere you go in the world, the war happened. Yeah, it was global.
But I feel like World War I was kind of more Europe.
Yeah, World War I was really just France and Germany. But I mean, it's obviously not that. It was a lot of things. Was
World War I in the Middle East? It must have been.
I mean, it was everywhere, but it was that trench warfare.
I feel like the one World War I story everyone gets is the Christmas story where they stop fighting.
Right. Yeah. It's funny because in World War One on Christmas they stop fighting, but in my family, it's Christmas time is when we start fighting.
Does your family fight a lot?
We're past that now. I went through a phase where I was like, would fight aggressively with my family. Yeah, that sucked. That was the worst time of my life.
What ages were you at?
We were all like in our 20s, and it was just like, now like we're all we've basically figured ourselves out. A lot of my siblings are married with kids. We're all kind of like settled, but there was just maybe this like, I was very angsty in my 20s. I was like overweight and I drank a lot, and I would fight. I would pick fights with them, and I didn't have a lot going on in my life. I tend to like so I didn't have anyone, and I was frustrated, and I didn't have anyone to take my frustrations out, so it was my family, and I would just be like, and it was just like I was just irritable, and I would just take it on them.
Yeah, I feel like I fight with my family less now as well.
Yeah,
and I do think that a lot of my 20s was, well, I don't know.
I have 4 siblings.
The weird thing, I have 3 siblings.
Right.
The weird thing is sometimes I think alcohol helps, and then it doesn't help. Like, if you're gonna hang out with people, I guess because I remember some fighting that happened right when I quit drinking. And I remember thinking, like, I would be fine if I could drink right now, because I would just be steadily chill. Like, when you have to go to someone's house and be like in a big group of people and it's ongoing, it keeps going on, and all these things are happening that are frustrating, it's nice to just be like pleasantly buzzed through all of that.
Yeah.
And I think that it can be a good tool until it isn't.
Yeah, my thing with drinking is like, if I'm in a good mood, it just kind of it just loosens everything up. So if I'm in a good mood and I feel like joking around and talking, then it loosens that up so I can keep going. But what it's really, if I'm in a bad place, or if something bothers me or something triggers me, I won't be able to like, I won't have because when I'm sober, something will bother me and I'll get annoyed for a second, and then I'll be like, okay, Madison, like, do you really want to fight about this? Why don't we just let it go and move on and not ruin the evening? But when I'm drunk, I don't have that like sensibility to like get my mind back. So it's like something will bother me, and then it's just I'm drunk, so then I'm just kind of like, they're like, let's just drop it, and I'm like, I don't want to. I want to talk about this for the next 2 hours and keep ramping it up, and then say, you know what I mean? So it's like, if I don't feel good, or if something's pissing me off, then it just makes me too dumb to have like the capacity to be like, let's not ruin Christmas.
Yeah.
Because something slightly annoyed you. It's like, no, we're going to ruin Christmas. Yeah.
So did you have like a big thing that changed after your 20s, or was it just a sort of general growing up?
COVID was really good for me.
Did that happen at the end, like around 30?
Yeah, like 29. COVID was, I don't know why, it just, like, COVID, so I moved out of my parents' place, like, when I was 19, and I lived away for a long time, but then in my late 20s, I moved back, and then I was kind of living there, and I had no sort of plan to move out, and then COVID hit, and I was fighting with my parents a lot. And within a few months into COVID, they were like, you have to leave. We're sick of you. And it kind of got me moved out. It got me working. I started like working full time. Like, you know, and then it also just, and then it just got me sort of, and then when COVID ended, for whatever reason, I just decided to like focus in on comedy and stuff. And so like I always think of before COVID, I wasn't really doing anything in my life, and then COVID ended, and then I like was like very focused on goals and stuff, and I was living on my own. And so like COVID kind of was it was a bookend to a really bad time in my life. I also sobered up during COVID, because before COVID I would just like go to like sports bars and drink, and then there was no sports bars to go to. I was like, I'm not gonna drink at home. So I sobered me up, focused me. And
that's interesting, because I think a lot of people, COVID tipped them in, like they were, you know, already like maybe abusing alcohol a little bit, and then they just had too much time and they went fully into it. But you like got out of it.
A little bit, yeah. Basically, yeah. Yeah, COVID was...
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
What's the dynamic in your family? Like, your parents are still married and there's 5 of you?
My parents are still married. There's 5 of us. We're full siblings. Each of us are only 2 years apart. So it's like a full house situation. I know some people that have lots of siblings, but like 2 of them are like 10 years apart,
Yeah.
you know, or they're half. So it's like, and it's like we're just a big.
Where are you in it?
I'm in the middle.
Oh.
I have an older sister, older brother, and then 2 younger sisters.
You have an older sister and an older brother, and then
2 younger sisters. But then
so
one of my younger sisters is gender non-binary.
Nice. So
it's really
there's 2 sisters, a brother.
I have 2 sisters, and then a brother, and then
another sibling.
A sibling, just a sibling just my sibling.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have
Did
2
you
sisters,
see
a
that
brother,
coming?
and a gender unspecific sibling.
Did you see that? Like, did you know when they told you? Were you like, I know?
Well, it was so funny. They were really into I never thought of it because I actually found them quite feminine, but they were always really into sports and like really into sports. And it never even occurred to me. I was like, oh, is she just like sports? And then when she was like 19, she came out as a lesbian. And I was like, oh, of course. Like, because she and then I was like, of course, she does have this sort of, this, I guess, masculine quality to her that makes sense. You know, I was like, oh, she does exhibit a lot of, you know, stereotypes. And then it like totally made sense. I was like, oh, of course she is. Because when we were growing up, my sister, we would be sitting she would call herself a boy. She was a tomboy, but she would call herself a boy girl. And we go, they're the boys, they're the girls. And boys would sit on one table, girls would sit on the other. She would sit them and go, I'm a boy girl. And the boys would get like Diet Cokes and the girls would get Shirley Temples, and she would always get like a Sprite or something. And they always thought of themselves as a boy girl when they were little, and we're like, oh, she's a tomboy or whatever. We didn't think anything of it. And then in high school, I thought she was quite feminine, so I didn't think anything of it. And then she came out, I was like, oh, she's lesbian. And then the non-binary was a more recent thing. And I think my reaction was just like, oh, okay.
So for me, I feel like whoever you are in high school is almost irrelevant because you're trying things on. But it's like when you're a kid, there's already like a sign of like who you really are.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, because that's like the true nature, and then high school you try stuff and then you go back to your true nature, right? Yeah. Yeah, it's true. When I was when you were a kid, were you podcasting, and then in high school you stopped and then you're back to podcasting?
So when I was a kid, I was like really giggly, and like sometimes I couldn't talk to people, like I couldn't say things, so I was laughing too hard. And then I like one of my hobbies, like my favorite thing to do in terms of the stuff I was signed up for was like my theater classes. And then at like 13, I was like just so into my friends, I didn't have hobbies anymore. So then when I got sober, it was like getting into like all these things I did as a kid as opposed to like as a teen.
Yeah.
What were you like as a little kid?
I think I was like hyperactive. I was very hyperactive, rambunctious. But like, I don't know. I had forced. I don't know. I think we're all just crazy. It was just a very chaotic household.
Are any of the other ones in acting or comedy?
Yeah, my little sister is an actress. She was in a movie with Andrew Dice Clay recently.
What?
It was weird because like she was billed as a smaller role, but then I watched it and she was like the main character. Because it's about Andrew Dice Clay is this like washed up guy who has to like go back and or he's a high school basketball coach.
Okay.
And then there's this like NBA star who gets canceled for something, and he gotta hide out or whatever. And he's this so he goes back to his hometown and he helps coach this basketball team. So it's this like NBA guy who's like hiding out because he got canceled, and Andrew Dice Clay, and they're kind of like this kind of odd couple situation where they're trying to coach this basketball team. And then my sister, her character is basically the equipment manager because she's like not actually a boy. She can't be on the team. So they're the equipment manager.
Is this the sister? This is a sister who identifies as this girl?
It's non-binary.
No,
yeah.
okay, so they're non-binary. Okay.
Yeah, but she's a they, she they, so you can say.
Oh, okay.
And she in basically like the climax of the film is like they don't have any other players and they're like we can put this person in. They're like well actually they had done it and then she like saves the day and she is like in the climax she like gets the goal or whatever.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and it's like it was cool. It was yeah.
What's the movie called?
Warrior Strong.
And is it on any apps right now?
I think you can get on Crave.
Oh my god, that's the one I have right now.
So you asked me what should I promote? Watch at the beginning of the podcast, she was like, what should I promote? And I'm like, I have nothing going on in my life. So I would like to promote Warrior Strong.
Okay, so yeah, I think we're at the end. So this has been the Kara Mitches podcast with Madison Cassaday.
Madison Cassaday.
And he's here to promote his
my
siblings
movie Warrior Strong,
available on Crave.
Check it out. Great. It was filmed in Sault Ste. Marie.
Amazing.
And thank you so much for having me, Karen.
Thanks for
It's
coming
been really fun.
For sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.